All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, great to be here.
Today, we're going to be looking at something that's, I think, very topical,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you've traveled anytime recently.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like we're hearing more and more stories about airline troubles,
Yeah.
delays, cancellations, you name it.
Yeah, seems like every time you turn around, there's another headline.
Exactly, and today's deep dive is going to focus on one of those headlines,
Okay.
specifically JetBlue. They got hit with a pretty hefty fine
Yeah.
by the feds, the Department of Transportation,
Mm.
for what they call chronic flight delays. And we're talking about a serious chunk of change here, like $2 million.
Wow. 2 million.
$2 million. So I want to get your take on this right off the bat. Like, what does that number tell us? Like, is that just a slap on the wrist for a company as big as JetBlue, or is this actually a big deal?
Oh, no, it's definitely a big deal. For the Department of Transportation to issue a fine like that, it means they're taking this issue very seriously.
Right.
They don't just throw around fines like that lightly.
So we're not talking about, a couple of flights running a little late here and there.
No, not at all. This
Mm.
is a pattern of behavior
Yeah.
that they've been seeing from JetBlue, and it's something that they've obviously decided needs to be addressed.
And when we say a pattern of behavior, what does that actually look like for passengers? I mean, chronic delays sounds bad, but can you break that down for us?
Well, imagine you're stuck on the tarmac
Yeah.
for hours on end.
Yeah.
No communication, no updates. Maybe you're running low on snacks or water.
Oh,
The
God.
kids are getting restless.
Yeah. The little tiny airplane back road is getting a lot of use.
Exactly. And, for some people, this is just an inconvenience, but for others, it can be really stressful.
Right. Especially if you have connecting flights to catch or
Yeah.
medical conditions.
Absolutely. Or if you're traveling with young children or elderly passengers.
Yeah. It's definitely not a situation anybody wants to be in.
Definitely not.
So let's talk about what led to this,
Hmm.
right? I mean, airlines are complicated businesses. There are so many moving parts.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the factors that contribute to these kinds of chronic delays?
Well, it's rarely ever just one thing. It's usually a combination of factors.
Okay.
It could be staffing shortages, it could be air traffic control
Oh,
issues,
yeah, that's always a fun one.
weather delays, maintenance problems, sometimes even outdated infrastructure at the airports themselves can play a role.
Wow. So it's like a whole chain of things that can potentially go wrong,
Exactly. And when one thing goes wrong, it can have a ripple effect throughout the entire system.
making those delays even worse.
Exactly.
So, going back to this fine, $2 million, that's got to have some kind of consequence beyond just, writing a check.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Department of Transportation, they don't just issue a fine and walk away.
Right.
They're also going to require JetBlue to take specific actions to address these issues.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, it could involve things like revising their scheduling practices so they're not overbooking flights, or maybe investing in better technology to improve communication with passengers during delays, or even potentially increasing staffing levels to make sure they have enough people to handle these situations effectively.
Yeah, I think that communication piece is so important. You know,
That's
when you're stuck in a delay and you have no idea what's going on,
Yeah,
it just adds to the frustration.
absolutely.
So if they can find ways to keep passengers informed, even if it's not the news they want to hear, at least it's something.
Right, give people a sense of what's happening.
Exactly.
And, some airlines are starting to do a better job of that, realizing that transparency is key,
Right.
even if it means admitting they messed up.
So it sounds like this whole situation with JetBlue,
Yeah.
it's not just about one airline having a bad week or anything like that.
No.
This really highlights some of the systemic issues that are facing the entire airline industry right now.
It definitely raises some big questions about how airlines are operating and how we can create a more reliable and passenger-friendly travel experience.
Because I think it's safe to say that nobody enjoys those delays.
Yeah, nobody. No.
So I want to leave our listeners with something to think about, as we wrap up this deep dive.
Yep.
Think about your own experiences with air travel, right? Have you noticed any changes in how airlines are handling delays, maybe for better or for worse?
Mm-hmm.
Are you more aware of your rights as a passenger after hearing stories like this?
That's a good question.
This deep dive, it's just the starting point, right? There's so much more to explore when it comes to the complex world of air travel.
There is.
And hopefully, by understanding some of these issues, we can all navigate those skies a little bit more smoothly.
Well said.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.